Hi everyone. Okay, this is the cover. This is how I start. I take my signatures, I stack them, they've got all the ephemera in them that I plan on putting in it, and then I'll squish it pretty well in the center, take a ruler, and I measure, sorry, I know I'm standing up, so I'm kind of not doing this right. It measures from edge to edge here, 1.5 approximately, but I think I'm going to make mine a 2-inch spine because if you look at this part here, then you kind of get the idea that, yeah, 2 inches is going to accommodate the whole thing, because you don't want your book sort of alligator mouth. You want it to lay as flat as it will. So I'm going to do 2 inches. So I've already marked off on my Kraftex where I want to cut. So this is how I do it. I like a 6-inch front cover. I'm going to move this back a little bit if I can. I think that's better. Yeah, maybe. Okay. So I want 6 inches for my cover. I want 8.5 for the height because my signatures are 8.25 high. And then because I want the 2 inches, then you know you've got your 6, your 2, and your 6, so you've got 14 inches, okay, in total for the width that you want to cut out. So I use a square. I just got this from the dollar store. It's just a cheapo square. But all I did was I kept it away from the edge a little bit because I don't think the edge is completely straight. So I'm just adding a tiny bit on the edge so I can trim it off later. So I've measured out my 14 inches this way and my 8.5 inches this way. Used a pencil. And I like to use a straight cutter for this part. So make sure that you're not going to go past your cutting mat or you're in trouble. And then I can see the pencil line. You guys can't, but it's there. So I'm going to try and keep you on camera while I do this. And hopefully my big head's not going to get in the way. Okay. Now hold it firmly, hold your fingers well away from the edge, and try and keep your knife nice and straight, up and down. And because I can't really look right over this, I'm hoping that that's what's going to happen. Okay, then I need to slide it down and do the last bit here. I'm trying not to push the camera or anything, it's a little difficult. Now, what I'll do is I'll put my blade in where I've already cut and then butt my ruler up to the blade. And that way you're probably going to line it up. Oops. Okay, that should be, yeah. I didn't push hard enough here. Okay. There we go. Okay. Then I need to cut this end. So again, I'm going to line my ruler up along my pencil line. There we go. Okay, now let me get this stuff away. This. Okay. So once I've done this, then what I want to do is take my scoring mat here my bone folder, which is where, there it is. Okay, now I can sit down and hopefully keep you in camera. I just need to turn this so I can see you guys. All right, there we go. Now, I want to, this side I know is straight cut. I did it in one go, so I know that it's straight. Now I'm going to score at 6 inches. And Kraftex is pretty thick material. Now, the nice thing about Kraftex, you can actually wash this stuff. I did a little experiment one time where I was having difficulty adhering my papers to it with the Mod Podge or decoupage. And somebody suggested, have you tried washing it? Well, I hadn't up to that point. So I thought, okay, well, let's give it a whirl. I ran it under the faucet in the kitchen, and then I just let it dry on its own and tried it with the decoupage. I think it made a little bit of a difference, but not a huge difference. And I don't know, since then, I haven't really had much trouble doing it. So, you know, yeah. So I don't bother washing, but you can. You can sew on this stuff. You can paint on it. I mean, it's nice, and I like it because it's flexible, but it's firm. Okay, now, what I need to do is straighten out this end here. So I'm just going to grab the cutter. Just take a little bit off the edge here. Just to straighten the edge, because it is definitely crooked. Okay. Now what I want to do is measure my 2 inches. So we can line it up with the 5 and score it at 7. That'll give me my 2-inch spine. Then what I normally do is measure the front, because this won't be 6 inches, because I did add. So take this away, grab my cutting board here, and what I will do is, I know this is 6 inches, so I'm going to put it here. I'm not cutting, I'm just putting it along here and seeing where my 6 inches ends. Because this is a bend, you know, it's got this space in the middle, so sometimes I just double check to see where my 6 inches is going to be for me. Now, I do have it marked with a black felt, so it's correct. So I'll flip it around and put my crease on the 6 inches there. Make sure that's nice and straight. Push it up firmly against the back, and then I'm going to take that little bit off there. So now I have my cover is all cut. Now I just want to decide, do I want to use this as my inside or as my outside? Because this side is a bit textured and the other side isn't. I'm going to use the textured side on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and bend that back again. Okay. Now I have cut my piece that I'm going to put on the front. There will be a border around it. So then at this point I decide, do I want to put anything under it? Do I want to leave it just like this? I actually haven't decided. I do have this piece that I'm going to put on the inside. So let's get this cut. Now on the inside, I kind of like doing it almost exactly the same size as the cover. So that's just, I don't know, I just like the sturdiness of it going almost to the very edge. So this is my 6-inch line. I think I will shorten it by just a hair, because sometimes it's not exactly the right measurement. Before I do that, I'm not going to waste this. I'm going to, hang on, let me think. Normally I would cut this part off, but I really want this part on the back of the book, so I think I will cut it down pretty much the middle. I'm just going to go just a bit shy of the 6 inches. And then I'll flip this one around and do that. On this side. About there. Okay. Then I need to take this bottom off. Now this is the part that I want mostly on the book, so I'm going to take it to, now I had done 8.5, so I'm going to take it just one up from that, one little mark on my cutting board. And this will make a nice postcard. Okay, so that's my back. That looks wider than 6 inches. I'm going to shave a wee bit off that one. Because when you're looking at, this is going to be the front, but when you're looking at this part's going to bend in, right? So you don't want it right up to here, or you might have difficulty, you know, getting that nice bend going on. So I'm going to take just a hair more off that. I just want to really make sure that I'm going to get a nice bend, so that when I put this on here, I will do it like this, so it's pretty much on the edge. I'll leave a little bit of a little tiny bit, and you see now it bends perfect. Okay, so when I go to adhere that, I'm going to butt it right up to the edge here, and it should be straight. But you know, not always. It'll be close. Now I'll do the same for this guy. I want him one shorter than the 8.5. And trim that off a little bit here. I think a little bit. Let me just double check that. Yeah, just a hair more of that. Should do it. Okay, so that's going to be the inside cover. That'll be great. Now, what I need to decide is if I'm going to add anything to the back, or if I'm going to leave it plain. Let me work on this while I think about that. I really love the front cover. I think that's nice, but that does give me more scope for maybe doing some texturing. I bought a brick, those Tim Holtz. I thought I'd add some brick stenciling to it. And I found all these buttons too that are pink. I'm not sure if I'm going to use any of them, but they were cute. And different colors, so I'm not sure what I will do, but I thought I might add some buttons to this. But I get ahead of myself. Yeah, I am going to leave it with no paper under it. This is very thick cardstock. This is Blue Fern Studio. It's very thick cardstock. Now what I want to do is I want to edge, but not in pink, you guys. I want to make that pop a little bit, so I'm going to use the brown. This is archival ink, so it won't move when it gets wet. I'm not sure it will get wet because I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. And then at this point, you know, I think to myself, okay, am I going to cut the corners or am I going to use metal corners? Because all of that has to factor in how, you know, you do your placement. I tend to like a book like a book. Because I do like using the metal corners. So I'm not going to cut mine. But, like, you know, you don't have to do it like me. Just giving you the options. I think this is the first brown I've used in this whole book. Which is really strange for me, you know, to use pink everything. It's been a real pleasure working on this book, though, I have to say. It's probably taken me longer than any book I've ever made. I probably could have put out more videos more often, but you know, there's a lot of editing involved when I do stuff like this. So it takes me way longer than if I, you know, when I show a book, I just turn it upside down so you guys can see it. That way I could just upload the video, it's done. It takes no time at all. This is a lot different. And thank you for all the nice comments people have been leaving me. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now I've done things, you know, a couple different ways where if I want to do some embossing on here, I've done it where I've done the embossing first and then attached it. But you know, when you do that, I use a bone folder and really firmly push down my decoupage. And if you've got your embossing powder on there, that makes it really hard to do. So now I do it the other way. I find it works better for me, but whatever works best for you guys. So, what am I going to do on the back? I have tissue. I think I'm going to leave the back. Yeah, I think I am. Because really, it's kind of about the inside at this point. I do like this cover. It will have some stuff on it. Okay, so this is going to go like this. And then I want to add a piece for the spine. Now what do we want to add? I'm going to check my drawer and see if I have something that I can add. But I'm going to pause it here, you guys, so that I can figure out the rest instead of just sort of sitting here going, what am I doing? Okay, so I'm going to pause it and I'll join it all together so it'll be seamless. Okay, see you back. Okay, I'm back. I haven't really made any decisions except for I want to start adding the pieces on the inside. So I've cut the spine. It's just a thinner cardstock. I think it's DCWV from that T collection. Forget the name of it. And it was just a scrap, and I just inked the edges. And then I'm using Mod Podge this time. I bought the giant Mod Podge. Because I use so much of this stuff. So I used a coupon and bought the giant one. So have a paper towel ready and your bone folder. I know people use brayers. I personally find you can't push hard enough with a brayer to really get the air bubbles and whatnot out of there. So I prefer the bone folder. Okay, I find it simplest to start with the spine because it's a smaller piece, and then you can really get it, you know, even top and bottom. And then it's easier for you to get your front and back even with these, because you just have to line up the edge and then butt it up there. So much easier to do it that way. And always have a paper towel ready. So I just want to take the excess off. All of this is getting covered, so don't even stress about that. I hope I'm not getting in the frame here with my head. I don't think I am, but okay. Then I take my bone folder and really start working it. You want to get all the extra glue out right to the edge, or you're going to have curled edges. Adhering the paper is just a lot of practice. That's really what it is. A lot of practice and patience. Just be patient. Keep working it. To get right in there and get those bubbles out. Neighbors cutting their lawn. I'm telling you, we've got almost summer weather again. It's crazy. I'm not complaining. I'm going to the island again on Friday, and it's supposed to be beautiful till next Tuesday, so that'll be a nice trip. I'm going with my mother-in-law, and we're gonna go look at some neighborhoods and see what she thinks. That's in there. I just like to add a little bit extra in the spine. I don't think you actually need to with the Kraftex, but I like it. Plus it covers up, so when you're putting your signatures in, because my signatures won't, like there'll be a gap like that, so that looks nicer in between than the dark brown. Okay. So I've done that. Now, I'm right-handed, so I'll start with my right. At this point, there's no up or down at this point. But as soon as you add the next paper, then you need to be careful. Make sure you're going to get them in the right spot. So I find this easiest to do. You know, you're just lining one edge up right against, you know, you're going to leave a little bit of a gap there because you want to bend it. And then I'm going to line that up just like that. I think it's going to be really pretty. I love their paper, the Blue Fern. It's gorgeous paper. Now, some papers that you use Mod Podge on, you have to be fairly quick because of the absorption rate. It'll dry quick on you, and then you will get bubbles simply because there's no glue. So you need to be fairly quick. That's why I like laying stuff out. You know, I don't do it on the fly when it comes to this. I have it all planned out first, just to, you know, make sure. And I go right to the edge because you want to make sure your edges are definitely stuck down. I mean, there's tricks to that as well. If you find after it's dried, there's a couple of spots, you just, you know, squeeze a little glue in there and you're good. Okay, so now I'm going to line this up there. A little maneuvering here. It's a little less. Okay, that looks pretty good. Come down a wee bit. You've got a little bit of wiggle room, but not a whole lot. Mod Podge actually grabs quicker than the decoupage that I use. Okay, so get all that edge off and then go ahead and... I know you can't tell on camera, but I'm pushing pretty hard. I want to make sure that it's stuck right to the edge. I like to see it squirt out so that I know the glue's gotten right to the edge. Okay, then feel it with your hand. You'll be able to feel if there's bubbles. Feels good. Okay, I'm going to turn it this way. Make sure I turn my paper upside down. Trying to get this part filmed before the sun is right in the front window, because then the lighting's really bad. Okay, let's get this one lined up. Yep, that looks good to me. better. Okay, there is the inside cover. All right. Now, if I was working on something a little thinner, I would wait till the inside was dry. But this is nice and thick, so I can go ahead and add this right away. You can go ahead, place it, and, you know, put little marks to make sure you're putting it right in the spot that you want, which I think I will do because I am going to. Just make sure you put the marks on the spot that you know you're going to add maybe embossing powder or texture paste or whatever, because then it won't show. I always use a pencil. I think that looks pretty good, so I'm just going to draw a little just around the corner just so I can pop that in there, and I just won't put glue on that part. I will put it close to it so that when I use my bone folder it'll push the glue into that spot. Probably good enough. Okay. Now this ink is going to run because it's distress ink, but that's actually fine. I kind of like that for certain things. Okay, now this is a printed one, so you need to be careful that your bone folder stays dry so that you don't take off any of your image. Boy, my arms get such a workout on this. Who needs the gym? Okay, now. what's on there. Feels pretty good. All right, now it needs to all dry, and when I come back, we'll start with the stenciling, I believe, is what I'll be doing. Now, when it comes to, you need to know what you're going to do before you lay anything down. After this is all dry, if you wanted to seal it, you have to understand that once it's sealed, yes, you can put embossing powder over it, but you're going to bubble your seal. So sealing is last. Do that last. And, you know, do all your texture paste or your embossing powder or whatever you're going to do before that. I'm probably going to do both because this is a really, I don't need to add much to this. I'm going to enhance it with just embossing powder and stencils. I have a whole bunch of buttons and stuff pulled out, but honestly, there's so much going on with this picture itself, I don't think it needs a whole lot of anything. And then once the corners go on, I think that'll be enough, you know. I just have to decide on the closure that I want to do. You know, I'll probably end up doing the same thing I always do. I like that, but we'll see. Anyway, I'll be back and we'll carry on. Okay guys, I'm back. The cover has dried and now I'm getting ready to experiment. So here you go. There's the front cover. And the inside looks pretty good. I think I'm going to have to widen out a little bit for this next part. Okay, and if I put these signatures in it, you can see that it's going to close nice. It's not going to be like alligator mouth, and that's going to give, you know, a nice look. So I'm happy with the size that it turned out. So I'm going to set that aside. I have the Tim Holtz, I think it's just called bricks, isn't it? Why don't they put names on anything? I don't know. But anyway, obviously it's bricks. So I'm going to use that. Now, I just have my little mixer here. I want to try some paint. So I have a couple of Prima paints. I'm just going to grab a brush here, if I can find one. Let's do this one. Okay, so I have, this one is called Vintage Rose, and this one is magenta. Now obviously the magenta is way too dark, but the pink is too light. So I just want to mix a couple together. And see what I get. Needs more. And then I want to add some of the, this is a transparent gloss. It's a Ranger's product, so it is totally clear. Let's just add some of that. Let's see what I get. That's a wee bit too pink for me. Add a little bit of water to this. These are all water-based, so you can absolutely thin it out with water. My gloss is a bit old, so I'm not really getting the look I want. Still a bit too dark. It's really clumpy. If you're mixing colors, you need to make sure that you have enough for your project, or if you run out and you need to mix it, it's not going to match. I think this gloss is getting old, so it's not... sorry about the lawnmower in the background. That's my hubby. Just got back from the airport a little while ago. Took my brother to Hawaii. Well, the airport to go to Hawaii. They're on their way to Kauai for a short getaway. Okay, gonna add a little bit more gloss. Yeah, this is getting really thick, this gloss. So I think that's pretty much the end of that. The waste, there's still quite a bit in there, but it's just not cooperating anymore. I always feel like I'm a mad scientist when I'm doing this stuff, because I'm really, honestly, just playing. I have no idea if it's going to work or if I'm going to like it. You know, it's almost looking purple to me. I don't know. I want to go lighter. I wonder what would happen if I added my texture paste instead. Since texture paste is white, it'd probably lighten that down quite a bit. Let me just grab some texture paste. Isn't this a gorgeous color though? It's too bad it's not the right color for that. Okay, I just have to find my texture paste. Transparent gloss, but I don't think I have any. I have super heavy gel medium. Looks like I'm out of texture paste. So, in that case, I'm going to add some gesso instead. Guess I'm going shopping. Thought I had a big bottle of it, but I don't see it. So just so you're aware, this might all just get thrown in the garbage, you know, if it doesn't turn out. I don't think I have any other pinks. These are just because I'm not a big fan. I don't generally have pink on hand. That's almost like a souffle color. It's pretty. Just needs a little bit more color to it. It's way more than I need, but more is better than not enough. Okay, add what color? I'm pretty sure I have no more pink. Let me grab my cart. Purple. No, I do not have any more pink. Oh, wait a minute. What's this one? No, that's more peach color. No, I think I'll just add a little bit more of this. Okay. That's better. Now you want to make sure that you don't get it too thin or it's going to go underneath your stencil and make a mess. Should be stiff, but you should be able to work it easily. Now, I'm wondering, let's get this over here. You know, it almost needs sort of a peach look to it. I have this one. It's called Butterfly Spells. Yeah, Butterfly Spells. Oh, come on. Nope, not yet. Okay, if this doesn't work, I give up. And so it goes. I think the other pink was just a bit too bubblegum looking. This will warm it up a little bit, this color. Yeah, that's better. Much, much better. Okay, let's see what I got here. Make sure I get it all nice and mixed up. Okay, I think that's going to be good. I like that better. Just warmed it up a little bit. Okay, now let me just grab some fresh paper towel. I'm going to throw this in my water. Throw that one in the water. I'm just covered in paint. So I don't smear it on anything. Make sure my hands are fairly clean. Alright, this is going to be way too much stuff, but that's okay. Now, I want to make sure you are in frame. I've decided I'm going to leave the brown border. So I'm just going to butt this up along the edge. Now, can you see? I think you can see. Alright. And it's going to be random. Now you can, if you want, add a little tape. What I do sometimes is I'll tape off sections that I want to make sure it's not going to hit. Now when you do that, here's the trick for that. Turn it upside down. Like so, okay? Always have the stamp facing you. Don't do it this way. It's a different edge on that side. So this is smoother when you're working this side. Now I want to go to the corner to maybe all the way down, actually. I might want to do it all the way down. So turn it this way and just put a little tape just to give you an idea. That way this is not sticking to your page, because sometimes depending on the paper you're using, yeah, it could lift your image off the page. So I always make sure it's facing up, and if I want to tape it, I'll tape it to the Kraftex just to keep it in place, because it won't lift that. And this is just sort of a guide to know that, okay, I don't want to go past that. And I'm going to go in random spots. Let me tape that side first. So I'll tape that down. That should be good. Yep. Okay. just like icing a cake. Don't overwork it because it will go underneath. If you're not super happy with the first bit that you've done, let it dry and then just put your stencil back over. If you want it textured, then don't smooth it down, just, you know, kind of blob it. Which, since this is brick, I don't really want it smooth. Ooh. Good idea to have like a baby wipe or a little container with some water, like a pan that you can drop this into right away. I'll grab a baby wipe out of my drawer in a second. Otherwise I'll have to leave you and go into the bathroom and rinse this out, which I don't want to do. Okay, I think that's what I want. Now, I'm going to get these two corners up so that I can just lift it right up and pull it away. There you go. So set it aside so you don't accidentally schmuck it, and then I'll just scrape off excess before I take the baby wipe to it. Tape off. As you can see, it's not exactly a neat way to craft. It's a little messy, but you know. Okay, let me just grab my baby wipe. Super important, you guys, to clean your stencils. Don't let them get built up, or they won't lay flat on your projects, and then you end up with stuff underneath that you didn't want. And the same with your tools. It's just easier to wipe when they're wet still. Okay, get rid of that. I'm going to go over it one more time. This one's really nice to clean. Some of them have a lot of little bits to them that get caught when you're trying to clean them. In which case it's best to just drop them into a sink of water or a bucket or something like that. Alright, now I'm going to just bring that back in a second. I'm just covered in paint. Okay. Set that aside because I am going to use it again. I'm going to bring this back so you can see. Okay, yeah, I like the color. You know, it's not in your face, and you still have the lipstick, worn lipstick around the edge that shows. I might actually not add any more. I might do just some embossing. Now the cool thing about using the mediums is if you heat them to dry, they'll bubble up and you get a really neat effect, if that's what you're going for. I'm gonna let this dry. At this point, it's nice and wet. What you can do, which might be pretty, is take some sparkle. Let me see if I've got it handy dandy here. Where would I have put it? Good question, Cheryl. I know I have some. Ah, here it is. I knew I had it. So you can just take your little sparkle. Okay. And just take a Now that's going to dry on there, and it's going to be really pretty. The rest will brush off later. It's not going to stick. That's going to be nice. And I still might do something beside this along that edge, and then maybe down here. You don't want to go too far if you're going to add corners. You don't want to go too far in. That'll prevent you from adhering your corners. That's real pretty, isn't it? It's very Aurora Borealis kind of look. The only thing about using glitter is it just gets everywhere. I'll be wearing glitter for days. This one is Warm Highlight Glitter Ritz. Warm Highlight. Transparent Microfine Glitter. It's really pretty. I don't have that many glitters anymore. I used to use them for cards and stuff, but I only kept my most favorite colors. Okay, so I'm gonna let this dry. I will come back and it might even be tomorrow. I'll probably end up doing this over a couple of days. I'm gonna wrap this in plastic wrap just in case I want to use it. I never know. Sometimes I'll mix them up in these little jars. I don't know if they work, you guys. Let me pull one out. I got these little mason jars, mini mason jars at the dollar store. And I mixed up, yeah, it's still wet. Yep, it's still, I think it's still usable. It's been there for several months now. I probably wouldn't use it too much longer. And I might even, add a little bit more. And I think this is done with the clear gel stuff, the transparent stuff, texture paste. I have a new bottle, so this one I'm going to toss because it's all really jello. So that's no good to me. But if I add a little bit more to this, I think it's savable. And like I said, that's several months ago that I did that one. And this one, not so sure. This one I did even longer ago than that. Let's see. Yeah, this one's actually beautiful. It's a nice gold, and then it dries clear. I just put some gold in it, gold paint. So if you get these little tiny mason jars, because they're really, you can really tighten them up so that you don't get too much air in there. If you have a better solution, let me know, because I don't think I have any more. Oh, I have one left. I'll probably scoop some of that up and put it in that jar. and hopefully save a lot of it. Because like I said, you know, look how little I used. You don't need a lot to, you know, do stenciling. Anyway, like I say, I'll be back and we'll work on the next section. Okay. Okay guys, I'm back. It's the next day. This is all really dry. It did warp a little, but this will bend out. So don't even worry if it does that. Clearly you can't put anything heavy to flatten it while it dries because of, you know, you'll flatten out your texture paste there. But it turned out really nice. I'm very happy with it. But I want to add a little bit of gold. So I'm going to use my Sukaniko Versamark pen. And I'm going to use my antique gold. It's chunky. Yeah, it's quite chunky. Let's see if you can see that. Oh, sorry, it's very... Hang on, let me close this curtain. There we go. So you can see it's much chunkier than regular stuff. And it does blow off. So you really want to make sure it's stuck on before you do that. I take the lid right off because really it's just a pain trying to get it through the holes there. And I will put a piece of paper underneath that. It's going to bounce all over the place. Now let's see where I want it. I kind of want it random. You want to put it on heavy, push it in, and then take the excess off. Okay. In here. Okay, I'm gonna do that first. Lid back on or I'll spill it everywhere. And a lid on this. And even though I'm careful, I get it everywhere. Okay, now I'm going to use the Tim Holtz heat gun because it doesn't blow as hard and it won't blow it off as quick. Let me get it hot first. I try and keep it up high at first until it just starts to turn. So you're going to need to be careful because you have texture paste, you've got glitter, and glitter will burn, it'll change color if you get too much heat on it. Do you guys want me to telephoto? Maybe you do. Hang on. And then just remind me that I'm not close. No, sorry, you can't really see it, can you? That might be a little better. You do want to hold it right over top like that. Otherwise, if you tip it, you're going to blow it off. It's better if you do it straight up and down, if you can. It's a little awkward for the camera, I realize that. But just till you see it start to melt a little, and then it won't blow. And you can get closer. Okay, now I'm going to switch to my other gun because it works faster. Oh, apparently I dropped it on the floor. I think I'm going to go down a little bit more. I don't want as much, so I'm not doing as wide a line. What that is. Okay. widen out a bit. Okay. Where am I? There I am. I think that's all that it needs. Now, I need So I always got this stuff at Butterbee Scraps. Well, they're going out of business. So now I don't know where my supply is going to be coming from. I love her stuff, but she's closing her store. I just got the email. I actually didn't get it right away, so pretty sure there's not a whole lot left. And I missed out. Okay, I'm looking for my glue. Hang on. What did I do with that? There it is. So I've showed you this before. It's my glue. And brmiessentials.com. You can order it from him. It is made in the US, but it's sold here in Canada. That's just a little hard to get off. So I always use a little bit of glue and flat pliers. And I always add a touch of glue in the corner. Careful you don't touch it, because yeah, it'll stick instantly. Then, holding it up and you're pushing it down, you're pushing this metal piece down. What's the best way to show you? This way maybe. So that you can get it right into the corner. You start at the corner and squeeze one side, then squeeze the other side. And that way, you're going to get it right along your book edge. Okay, and then I'll go in the center and give it a good firm push. And that way it's nice and flat. And then these little holes, they sort of grip into whatever it is you're pushing them onto. So it adds a little bit more. But they go on really easy. You know, if I'm going to check her website today, and if there's still some left, I'm going to order a pile more, because I use these corners all the time. So don't add more than a drop, really, because it'll squish out. And yes, it dries clear, but it dries shiny. So you don't want to do that. Okay. Good squeeze there. So that finishes off the front. That looks nice. Okay, I'll do the back. Pushed, squeeze there, and squeeze there, and that should be nice and lined up. What I like about this one, it's a little different than Crazy Glue, in the how it's dispensed, the tip actually rolls back in, so you don't get the blob on the outside drying up your tip. I don't know, just a little thing there that seems to work quite well. Squeeze there. There we go. It's as simple as that. So the next step is to cover it. And for that, I want that. And I want a fairly firm brush, I think. Let me see what I've got here. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to give it a wee bit of a sweep off because I've got sparkle everywhere. Not that that's a bad thing. Everybody could use some sparkle in their life, right? Okay. Now this can be a little difficult at times. If you don't like brush marks, it takes a lot of work to do this, but it's well worth the effort. Now, if you want texture, then give it a little pouncing motion. If you don't, then do this flat edge and just keep swirling it around in small circles, and you will eventually work out the brush strokes. Around this area, I'm not super picky because I'm not really going to show with it being the brick, but I do want to cover the brick so that the sparkles don't all fall off. If you get good enough coat on here, you know, you can take a lightly dampened cloth and, you know, dust off your books. It won't affect anything. So this is the Liquitex Gloss Medium and Varnish. I absolutely love this stuff. You can get it on Amazon. At least you used to be able to. I don't know if you still can. I bought a huge bottle of it, so I haven't needed it. I just keep refilling this small one. You used to be able to get it at Michael's, but I haven't seen it there in a while. At least here in Canada. I don't know about the States. The only thing you need to be careful of with this gloss medium, you don't want to keep building it up layer on layer on layer because it will eventually go milky on you. It won't be super clear, so try and just keep it to a light coat if you can. Tip it to the light so you can see if you're liking the way it's coming out. Now this won't give shine, it's totally matte. Let's see, I got some there. Dries really fast on paper that's been printed. So you have to work in small sections so it doesn't dry on you. Hope you're still on camera and my head's not in the way. That should do it on the front. As you can see, I'm very picky. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Alright, now I want to do the back. Don't have to be as picky with the back because it is texture paper. So you can pretty much just cover it. It's only when it's flat and smooth that you really have to work at it. And I just do this just in case you accidentally sit it on, you know, something damp. You can just wipe it off. You don't have to have this stuff. You can do the same thing with Mod Podge or decoupage. It's just with this, it does kind of enhance the colors, whereas the others don't do that. But they do certainly seal. Okay, that's it. I'm not doing the spine until after I've sewn the book together, because I like to go over the stitching as well, just so that that's washable too. So that's the cover. I will put a closure here after I get everything done. I usually do it last. I don't know why. I mean, you can go ahead and do it now if you want. But I'm going to let this dry. So I'll stop the film again and I'll be back. Okay, you guys, I'm just going to show you quick how I do some of the little extras. So I've gone ahead and I've cut some. It's not really a flat back because it is dimensional on both sides, but it's a trim that somebody gifted to me. I really wish I could remember who it was. I'm wondering if it was Dorothy. I can't remember, honestly. But it's a really cool looking trim. And I used my glue, and it's called my glue, to adhere it. Now, of course, I think I stuck most of it to my fingers. But I just wanted to add a little bit of dimension. So, of course, 24 hours is recommended for that to really set, although it won't move now, like unless I really bang it. And I want to put a metal piece here for the closure. And all I have left are these copper colored ones. And I don't really want copper. I want gold. So I'm going to try a little bit of my... I know you can't really see that because it's a mess, but it's Tim Holtz alcohol ink, but it's the mixative. So you need to, whenever it says that, you need to shake it up. It is got a ball in it. It's a little different than regular alcohol ink, although works the same in that it doesn't really move. Now I usually use a really crappy little brush. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. And I'm just gonna grab my little dish. Hope you guys can see okay. I probably shouldn't leave this under here. That's accident waiting to happen. I'm just gonna put a little bit in the dish. And I mean a little bit. I don't want it super gold. I just want to kind of brush lightly. Move it around a little bit. Don't mind if some of the copper shows. I just don't want it to be so copper. You can do that with your hitch posts too if you have some and left over and they're not quite the right color. You can just use your alcohol ink on them. Looks kind of antique enough. You can also do the same thing on the corners if you're finding that your corners aren't quite as gold as you would like them. Mine, they're okay, but because I've darkened this up, I think I might just do a tiny bit. These don't need a lot because they are a light gold already. I'm honestly not changing them a lot. I know you're probably not going to actually see that too well. That's good. And I'm just going to grab some alcohol blending solution just to clean that up a little. Okay. I'll do the other one later, but I just want to show you guys this. So I'll show you how I did it on this one, because this will be the back piece. And I might do this one, let's see, maybe long ways, because I usually do 2 eyelets. Yeah, but I'm going to bend these back. So this has a little loop on either end. I just take my flat pliers, bend it back, and then pinch it up. It's very pliable, actually pretty easy to do. Just because I didn't want the loop hanging out. Could cut it off, but then it would be sharp, and I didn't want that either. Okay, so then I want to bend it in half. So I just take a ruler, a metal ruler, and I line up the center and just get it kind of started. You have to push pretty firm on the top of the ruler just to get it started in the right spot. Okay. And then I just use my fingers to squeeze it. And I'm not going to bend it close because then I won't get it over my book. But then once I put it over my book with a little bit of the glue, just a tiny bit, just to hold it down in spots, and then I squeeze it with my flat scissors. So that's what I've done with this one. And I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put a drop of glue right there. I think I'm going to put one on the tip of it too. Just going to let that set a little bit. Okay, then we're going to get that there, push it down, and then take my flat pliers and give it a squeeze. I'm not worried that it's going to fall off because I'm going to put a hole in it and put that there. Okay. I just like to make sure it's not going to scratch anybody. Oh, and I also put a pocket in here for this. It's just a piece of the... I did glue it like down like this instead of just along here because I didn't want it to tip over, and it's just for this. So that's in there nice and securely. Okay, that's in. Now I'm going to do my crocodile, and I use the hitch post, so you get a little screw and the little top, and all you have to do is on your crocodile you have a tiny hole and a regular sized hole. It does tell you on the size on the side 3/16, 1/8. When you're setting, I'll show you the eyelets. I'm going to do those as well. So I'll show you how I set those. I do have a video demonstrating all of this, but I have to do it anyway, so I will do it again for you. Okay, I just want to get this stuff out of the way because I'm going to flip my book around. Okay, so I just want to make sure you're in frame. I'm going to pull my camera forward. Hang on, you guys. Come with me. There we go. That's better. All right, so this stuff punches through metal. It punches through like a ton of stuff. And I'm just going to put it in the center, but you want it far enough away. You don't want it too close to the edge. Just give it a squeeze. Then you pop the back on. Okay, so then what I do is I take that same ruler, because I'm really picky. I hold the ruler just like you would a screwdriver and then tighten it nice and tight. Do you want the screw to be parallel or the other way? Whichever way you want it. And there you go. So that's that. Now I'm going to use, where are you guys? I buy these from the dollar store. Just hairband doohickeys. And these are new, so open that up. These ones do not have the metal. They are melted. So I'm hoping they're going to be as good as the ones that I usually get. Now I have to do the metal piece on this side. And I need to go ahead and do some alcohol ink again. I'm just going to put on my craft mat because I'm lazy. And just sop that up in the brush. There we go. Alright, dries pretty much instantly. Now, which side do I want? Alright. No matter how hard you try, you never get it bent exactly centered, so it doesn't matter, nobody's going to measure it. Okay, then I just want a little bit of glue. Where did I put it? There it is. And do it on both sides. As much as I like this glue, I wish the tip was even narrower than it is, because you get a lot coming out. Okay, I'll squeeze this under the camera this way. So push it forward and then squeeze down. There we go. That is in now. Okay. So that's the back piece. That actually looks kind of pretty on the inside, right? Now I need some eyelets. And probably going to have to color some, unless I use, let's see, I think I might use the brown ones, if I've got a couple brown ones. Wish I could remember where I got these, because these are probably my favorite ones. And I bought some from my craft store, and they're absolute crap. They don't work at all. Okay. Now, I have to decide where I want to put these. I think right in that hole there. Now these are the bigger hold ones, so you have to get your crocodile. I have to hold it up, sorry guys, because I can't see it laying down. Darn, it didn't break. Okay. Actually, that's clear. Right about there. That's better. Okay. Sometimes they don't fit in the hole, but these ones do. They don't fit in the hole. I just use you know, whatever's hard and fit in the hole, and then I just wiggle it around until I get the size I want. Now this is that's the big one, so it's already set. On the side there's numbers on the base and letters on the pegs, so you just match them up, like 1 would be A, 2 would be B, so on and so on. And to do that you lift it and turn it and then push it back down again. So you put the peg in the top and the base on the bottom, give a gentle squeeze, and then I turn it over. It's perfect. So then I go back and give it a harder squeeze. And that's that. So sometimes you guys, if you mess them up, it's not always you. Sometimes it's quality of the eyelets. Not all eyelets are the same, that's for sure. Okay, so that is that. All right, put that away. All right. Now this, I'm going to cut it right in between the spot that's been melted. Okay, and then I simply thread it in here, and I tie it in a knot like that. I'm going to do it loosely because I don't know where I want it yet. And then my signatures will go in here. And you pull from the back and that'll hook over there. So that's the way it's going to be. Wow, it's a big book. Okay. That's how you do the cover, how I do my covers. You can do them however you like, but gives you an idea. So I'm going to let this sit overnight and get nice and hard, and then I will come back and sew in the signatures, and we're done. Thanks for watching. It'll all be one video, so I'm just going to pause it and come back probably tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, I'm going away. So it might be next week. Who knows? Thanks for watching. Hi everyone, I'm back. I went away for a few days, so and that's why this is taking me so long to get this posted. What I wanted to show you was putting the holes in your cover, and then how I do it for my signature, and you know how I figure that stuff out. I use graph paper. I do have a video on sewing in your signatures, which at the end of this video I'll put a link, so because I'm not going to sew it in this video. So I'll put the link in, and then you can see how it's done, and it will be the cross stitch one. Okay, so my spine is 2 inches. I've cut my graph paper to, it's a little bit shorter than the book itself, because that's just how the squares worked out, and but it works. What I'm going to do then is I figure out where I want my holes, how many signatures you're putting in, that kind of thing. Now, you guys know, since you followed along, that I'm doing 2 signatures, and I want a decent gap in the center because my signatures are really fat. So let's go ahead and figure this out. I use just a foam piece, and this is hard on one side, it's foam on the other, but hard on the other side, so you can, you know, put foam on foam and it won't go through and mark my table. Some people use a foam book. I have no such animal as a foam book. This works for me. This is how I've been doing it for years now. So you need a pencil or, you know, felt, whatever you're going to use. And sorry, I'm a little flustered. I'm real tired. I just got in yesterday, so I'm a little tired. You can do it by folding, or whatever method works for you, whether you're good at math or not. Graph paper works either way because you don't really need math if you count squares, okay? This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 squares. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, this will be my middle then, right? 2, 4, 6, right in the middle of the 13th square. And I like to just put a little mark in the center, top and bottom. I mean, you don't have to count squares, just fold the paper in half. Do it like that, and then you can put the next side right up to the center of that square. There, and on the other side. That's my husband's foam's going nuts. He's outside raking leaves. Look, we have mega leaves. Okay, then I just fold it down. Now this is printed both sides, but of course they don't meet up. I'm going to telephoto in a little bit. Okay. They don't meet up. Like when you print on one side, it's never going to be the same on the other side. So don't worry about it. Okay. Now, you can go ahead and fold the whole thing if you want, or, you know, just know where it's going to go and put your marks there. I'm just going to lightly bend it down. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. And this might not work out. I might be wrong. Let's see. Oh, come on, Cheryl. I have fumble fingers this morning. Okay, so if I do it there, and there, that's going to give me a really big gap. So I'm going to move that in, 1 square each. That'll give me 4 there. And 4 there, and that gives me 2, 4, 5 there. So I could go 4.5 and 4.5, and then that'll give me even spacing across. Okay. Then you have to remember, you have to come down. I like to come down 1/2 inch because remember your signature is not quite as big as high as your book cover. So I come down 1/2 inch or 4 squares. I don't measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to start there, and I'm going to come in 4.5 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4.5. So that'll be there. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 there. Okay, so that's even distance across. Doesn't look it because I didn't trim this edge, but I will trim that edge. Okay, do the same thing on the end. Let's get rid of this. Actually, I should do it on that side because I did cut this side properly. Yeah, 2, 3, 4.5, and 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Okay, then turn it, and I want 4.5 in and 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4 down, and 1, 2, 3, 4.5 there. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 there. Okay. Now, you can decide how many holes you want. I generally put quite a few in mine. I just like it to be secure and not wiggling around. I mean, you can do 3 if you want, it's up to you. What I do is fold this up, get my center, and then I will line this one up with that one up with that, and then you can line those holes or dots with the other dots and fold, and that gives you a mark here. So we're going to go with that and that. Whoop, wrong one. So just put an X on it. That one. And do the same for this. And you can go ahead and measure and all that kind of stuff, but this works fine. Okay, so that's going right there and right there. Now if you wanted, you could put more. This would give me really long X, and I want shorter X's, so I am doing that, but you don't have to if you don't want to do a bunch of sewing. So then I just match those ones up. And mark there and there. This is probably the easiest way to do it, unless you guys have a better way. There we go. Okay. So then, after I've done this, when I've punched my holes in the cover, then I'll fold one of these right in half in between the dot, and that will get me the piece that I'll put inside my signature. So I'll show you that. But let's do the cover. You're going to need a pokey tool. Thinner's better. or don't go all the way through, just do a light poke. I just got these at the dollar store, but they're nice and narrow. I'm going to turn this because it's easier for me. Center that from the back to the front. Sorry, from the outside to the inside is what I meant to say. And that way, when you poke through, you're going to have like a dip inside, not outside, if that makes sense. You'll see what I mean when I poke the hole. So just try and get that, you know, pretty even. That's a bird on my house. It sounded like it was in my room. So as you can see, I'm not poking through too far, but I am going through it. It's probably that woodpecker. I don't know why he loves my house so much. So I have small holes. Now I can go poke through it. This is a pretty thin needle, so usually the one that I use is a lot thicker. This is going to be good. Okay, so that's it, you know, nice and even. Then, the next step, what I do is I make a decision which signature I want to be my first signature in the book, this one. And then I go through the ephemera, and I'll put them in two separate piles so that I remember where it went. So I go from the front, and then when I fill it back up, I start from the back, and that way you know where things are going to go. Then what I'll do is I'll show you. I'll put this one like that, and then I keep flipping until I find the next bit of ephemera. Okay, so now if these are together, then I turn it so I know that goes in one spot. And then I'll take out the next things and I'll put those right side up. And then this one, yeah, this one is going that way. These are going to be together, so they're going to go that way. This one goes that way. And that way. And then inside there's a little one. Nothing in that. Nothing in that. And then that is going that way. So then I'll just put those together because I know they're going to go together on the same page. These two go together. Huh? And then the last one goes like that. Okay, so that's the first one. So I'll put that to my left. And then I'll go through this one and it'll go to my right. That goes that way. That goes that way. That goes there. And that goes in. Okay, that's it. Now, to get them where you want them, start from the center. Place them where you want, and pinch them as you go. So just pinch them all together so they're not moving around. Sometimes your pages aren't exactly the same height. Mine never are. So I always line up the top. Make sure your spines are pushed together nice and tight. Okay. Then Try not to move them. I will take this and fold it right in the center of the hole. Just pinch it down. And hang on to these. You can reuse them over and over again if you're making books that are the same size. I have them in several different sizes and I just hang on to them. And then give it a nice sharp crease. Have this part, the shorter part, toward you. Turn your signature and very carefully open it up to the center. Now, I have to open up my envelope because I'm going to poke holes in the middle of it. Then you're going to center this piece in your book. Okay, that moved. Hang on. There we go. Now if you line up the top with the top, you're going to find it's going to be off center because this one hangs down a little. So just adjust it ever so slightly. It's like a half a box, usually. Yeah, that's good. Now try and keep your signature upright as much as you can and narrow. That way you're not going to end up going sideways through your signature. I always start in the middle because if I screw up, it's way up in the book and it's easier to cover up. So gently push through. And then before you take it out, see that landed dead center, okay? I don't know if it'd help if I put the light on. I'm going to close this curtain a wee bit and then turn this on. Sun's moving again. Okay. So that's exactly where I wanted it, but try and keep it nice and pinched, you guys. I know this is really tough for you to see. And I apologize for that. Let me bend this back the other way. Might be a little easier. Okay. And I run my finger, making sure I'm trying to do this without actually looking, which is a little hard. Yeah, see, that went in the back. Dang it. Okay. See, it came out that side. Now, if you push it back in, you won't even notice that. Just go all the way around, pushing it down. There we go. Okay. This is a problem when you get fat signatures. You have to be really careful. Just starts out good, but the problem is I'm trying not to get my head in there. You want to keep this as straight up and down as you can. Okay, that worked. Oh man, it's really tough. Oh, I think I got it. Yep. This is where I wished I had bigger hands. I'm sorry if you can't see this. That's pretty good. There we go. It's because I'm going through index card. Now I already did the center. Good. Good. Okay, there we go. And they're nice small holes too, which is perfect. You don't want big honking holes, or then they start doing that, right? And it just makes a mess. So that's the first signature. So the second one I do the exact same thing, and then I'm going to sign off now. This at the end, somewhere, it should be up there now actually. Click on that in the top right corner, and it'll take you to the tutorial on how to do the cross stitch one. Thanks for watching, you guys. I know this was a really long video, so I appreciate you hanging in there. Bye.